Hey, it's the Empire, Geoboxing Empire, Backshot Boxing. Now, man, wild news, man. Jermell Charlo, man, the current unified 154 champion right now, man, had a phenomenal fight with Brian Castano, man, fought to a draw, and now they're rematching soon for Undisputed, He's looking like the next one to become undisputed in boxing, man. That being said, man, big dog, Mel, he told Terence Crawford, the former 140 undisputed champion, the current WBO undefeated world champion right now, Terence Bud Crawford, he told him, man, listen, you don't want to F with me, man, or I'll knock you out. It's been circling around everywhere, man. People have been talking about it. It's been hype lately. And this is a really big deal because, like I said earlier, Jermell Charlo, if he fought Brian Castano, there's no doubt in my mind he'll be the favorite to win. And, if things keep going in Mel's favor, he can become the undisputed champion just like Terence Bud Crawford. And this would be the first time I'm aware of in the heavyweight division, in boxing, that two undisputed champions fought each other. This would be a historic fight if Terence Bud Crawford and Jermell Charlo fight each other. It would be one of the biggest fights, not just because it's a big fight, but for historic purposes in boxing. So I do think this is a big fight with Terence Bud Crawford and Mel, no matter who wins that fight. A lot of people are talking about how big Mel is and how good he is at using his reach and height, and how it might be too much for Terence Crawford to overcome. A lot of Terence Crawford fans are saying that Terence Crawford is too smart for Jermell Charlo, and if Castano could walk him down, what would a high IQ fighter like Terence Crawford do to Mel? Either way, man, outside of height, I think that most people will agree that Terence Bud Crawford is the better boxer between the two, and that, I think Mel moves better than Terence Crawford, though, too. I think he's better on his feet. So there's a lot of pros and cons to both fighters. There's no real clear winner here, and this would be one of those fights that would just be all fireworks, for sure. Mel is a fighter known for fighting on his emotions, Some people call him the Vegeta of boxing. If you know who he is, gang. The guy fights with all rage, and the more angry he gets, the stronger he gets. All about pride with Mel, all about anger with him, and that's how he seems like he wins his fights. Even in the even when he's calling out Terence Crawford, he's getting all hype on him, right? So, that being said, man, this would definitely be a big fight, and it would be something I'd be definitely tuned in for. Understand that, while Terence Crawford is busy with, the 147 division, Mel can, clean up the 154 division by not only fighting Brian Castano, but fighting that lingering boogeyman at 154, win, lose, or draw. Say what you want about him, but I'm talking about Jarrett Swift Hurd, man. Jarrett Hurd was that fight that everyone wanted to see, and I still think that, Mel, before he tries to do anything wild, like go up or anything like that, or call out smaller fighters, maybe he needs to, clean out his division first. Maybe he needs to do that first. So we all know where this whole beef between Mel and Terence Crawford came from. It really started off with Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. Mel and Errol were chilling one time, and a reporter asked Jermell Charlo who would win between Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. And Jermell and Errol Spence train together, so he ride with his boy. And Terence Crawford didn't like that. That's when the real beef started, man. And then after that, Terence Crawford called out Mel, and then he said, man, I can clap you too. And then it just spiraled out of control, man. So, man, that being said, man, that's a big fight, man. That's a big fight right there. And that's something that I'd be super intrigued to see, man. It's one thing to watch, two fighters fight for unifications. There's one thing to watch two fighters fight for Undisputed, but there's one thing to watch two undisputed champions fight each other. So, you know, we're gonna see how this whole thing plays out, man. This is like, you can't even call it a fight of the century. This is just once in a ever fight. So yeah, man, we're gonna see how this whole thing plays out with Mel and Terence Crawford. But, you know, I mean, we'll see, man. I mean, a lot of people are saying that Terence Crawford's gonna have to grow into the division first because, yeah, right now, you know, people thought for a long time he was a small welterweight. He's been knocking all these guys out at welterweight, but at the same time, you know, he's just grown into welterweight, and it took him years to do that. Years. So 154 is a whole nother animal. You know, you guys do the math from 147, 154. You know, that's 14 pounds. That's a lot of weight. It's a lot of weight. You know, so, or it's, you know, it's not 14 pounds. It's 7 pounds, but that's still a lot of weight. You know, so we're gonna see how this whole thing plays out. You know, understand that 140 from 147, 7 pounds, and the next thing up, it's the same thing, but it takes a long time to put that weight on and put it on right. You know, put it on right. So, yeah, man, this is gonna be a big fight if they ever get to it. It's not shocking in boxing to see fighters skip a weight class for a big fight. Happens all the time, right? Think Rigondeaux versus Lomachenko. You know, Rigo hopped 2 weight classes. People do it all the time in boxing. AB did it when he skipped 135 to go. He skipped 140 to 147 from 135, right? So he had to come back down later in his career to get that 4th title. So, you know, a lot of fighters do it. I can go on and on naming these fighters who did it. Same thing with Gervonta Tank Davis. You know, he only had the title at 130, world title at 130, IBF title, and the WBA super title. But at, you know, he's hopping weight classes to fight bigger, stronger fighters, you know, for a lucrative fight. So, you know, we see it all the time in boxing, man. And this could be one of those big deals. So yeah, man, this can definitely happen. It's not out of the question. But anyway, man, let me know how you guys feel about Mel, man. Who you guys got in this fight, man? I think this is a big one. Let me know how you guys feel about it, though. Like, comment, subscribe. This is the Empire. Geobosque Empire. Peace. Geobosque.